Hi, this is Dr. Dharm Sidhu. I am a naturopathic doctor here in Vancouver. In this video, I want to talk about trauma in healthcare. I see mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, PTSD, ADD, OCD, all of those. I see them as health issues. They're not separate from the physical health issues we can have. They are also health issues, and trauma can show up through mental health, can show up through physical health. And there's a lot of work that's been done about trauma. I have tried many ways of working through trauma that was basically about managing it and or boxing it, or, there's a management, it's a type of control, avoidance, forgetting. Sometimes the tapping techniques, any techniques you have is the intention. The intention is to manage it, put it away, avoid it. And what I've learned that the purpose of trauma work is actually really simple. It's not about reframing. It's not about having a different point of view. It's not about managing it. And it's not about living with it. The purpose of trauma work is to release all emotions associated with the event. It's about processing and releasing the emotions. When the emotions are released, you are whatever suffering you have from the event, release you, like it's left from you. And it's a difficult experience to go through. But until you release all emotions, you're still in trauma. You're not free from it. You're usually trapped in the event based on the anger you got to hold on to in all of the managing. Anything we do besides feel a trauma is a form of anger, a form of rebellion, which we also have to work through. So with trauma work, and I'm talking about like things we consider traumatic, because I feel a lot of people do minimize other kind of events in their lives that if you have to suppress your emotion about it, to the child, those experiences are traumatic. Neglect can be traumatic. A parent that is numb. I was very numb as a parent. That is a traumatic experience for my children to have to experience and forgive. So to do trauma work, we do have to go through a lot of layers of anger. I shouldn't have to remember. It wasn't my fault, though I feel it is. Because in trauma, usually the child is groomed to accept abuse by being made emotionally responsible for other people's emotions. That's how the grooming works. And so the child is already being lied to that they're supposed to take responsibility for other people's actions. And so you really have emotions that somehow something is my fault. And then abusers tend to kind of like dump their shame about their behavior into the child or into the victim. I should include adults that are also traumatized. And so we have to go through those layers of feeling like it's my fault, but not living in it or not rebelling against it. We have to go through the feeling of shame. I feel I'm bad. I feel I'm dirty. Again, by remembering I'm releasing an emotion that now my soul is carrying. And as you go through these phases, you actually become very clear in your soul. Some things were not your fault. And there's also the anger placed at something else so that you don't have to experience the raw anger towards the actual abuser because you're still in terror about it. Well, as you can see, I have a lot to say about trauma and trauma work and the emotional work you need to do around it. So, for example, in trauma, appropriately, anger should be a natural response in the victim. And I'm talking about children here, but you're not allowed to express the anger and it gets turned inward. So now it becomes self-loathing, self-blame, self-punishment, self-attack. And because those emotions are not the true emotion of the event, it just creates a whole new set of self-abuse that has its own health implication, relationship implication, financial implication. It's quite far-reaching. So, and when I have been investigating autoimmune condition, the internalized anger activates the mast cell activation in the body that then turn on onto itself. And depending on the specific emotion you're looking at, you'll have specific type of autoimmune conditions. So I spent a long time creating very thick concrete barrier in having to remember events. And I had to very consciously work through a lot of anger and terror to be able to then be able to see for myself why remembering is necessary. And the goal is just to get through the emotion, to kind of wring it out, release the emotion, and then your sense of self is restored. That's part of what I want to share about trauma, but the nutshell is trauma work is about releasing emotions stored in the soul about the event, and the goal is to help release the emotion. It may be helpful to have a therapist, somebody that can kind of hold your space in coaching you in connecting to these processes, but ultimately, these deep emotions are felt alone by yourself. That's the goal you want to get to at some point in your own healing journey. I will continue to speak more about trauma and the emotional layer and how we block it and the health implications as I continue in other videos. Okay, thank you for watching.